All right, welcome in, guys. We have the second live preview that I'm doing. We just started doing all videos live, so if you didn't get that message, well, that's that. So we're gonna dive into it. It's gonna be Rams 7-2 Rams taking on the 3-5 San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. This is going to be my preview and prediction video. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, like the video, and be sure to drop a comment. All right, so let's dive into it. We're going to start the same way we always start. I'm going to go through the lineups and key players for the 49ers. At quarterback, of course, you'll have Jimmy Garoppolo. Unless he goes down, then you'll likely see Trey Lance. Garoppolo's had an okay season, but they really haven't been able to find stability at the quarterback position this year. On the other side of that, you have the running back spot. Now, they have Trey Sermon, a guy that I love a lot, third-round pick. And he is not likely going to be active. He hasn't been active. They've really not used him. It's been Elijah Mitchell, the late-round pick out of Louisiana Lafayette. He's going to start. Then you're going to probably see JaMycal Hasty, the UDFA out of Baylor. He is, of course, nursing an injury, so it depends on if he is active or not. But if he is, then he's likely going to back up Elijah Mitchell. In addition to that, they use fullback a lot, and that fullback is Kyle Juszczyk. He's had plenty of success against the Rams and other teams alike, so this is definitely a player that you have to always account for, when going up against the Niners. Moving on to the receiver room, one of the top receivers in the league this year, a guy that's bullied the Rams, since he's come in the league, and that is Deebo Samuel. Samuel, of course, is having a great season. He's been heavily utilized, with the injury to, George Kittle, the injury to Brandon Ayuk. He's really stepped up and become a number one receiver for this offense. And the aforementioned Brandon Ayuk will also be starting alongside him. Mohamed Sanu is likely not going to play. He suffered a knee injury. It could be an ACL, MCL type of issue. So he is not going to play. Don't expect him to play. And, that's that. So you have those two guys. Trent Sherfield will likely get the third, wide receiver duties, as well as Jawan Jennings. But those are the wide receivers. Then looking at the tight ends, the main tight end you have to worry about, the guy that's on the front cover of this thumbnail, and that is George Kittle. This is somebody that has had plenty of success against the Rams. I call him a Ram killer. You go back, you look at what Larry Fitzgerald did against the Rams. Players like Sean Alexander, Marshawn Lynch, Terrell Owens. all, Ram killers, so to speak. This guy is right up there among the best of them all. Kittle has suffered an injury. This season he had been going through it. He is finally back. He was on a pitch count last week and still had 78% of snaps. This week, I imagine he is going to have a significant role trying to stop the Rams, and so I won't be surprised if they utilize him a ton. And on top of that, Charlie Warner, the 6th-round pick, is starting to really emerge. He's going to be the backup. He doesn't get a ton of opportunities now with Kittle healthy, but he's definitely somebody to highlight. And then Ross Dwelley as well rounds out the tight end role. Then you have on the offensive line, it looks like they're going to be almost fully healthy. They are missing a huge piece at right tackle, and that is Mike McGlinchey, who is out for the season. So, with that, you're going to have Trent Silverback Williams at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, Alex Mack in all likelihood is going to play at center. Right guard is going to be Daniel Brunskill, and this is somebody that, people know very well because the last time he played against the Rams, he really did a nice job holding his own against Aaron Donald. You don't see that very often. And then right tackle, Tom Compton, who is one of the main reasons why, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the big reasons why the Falcons fell apart in the Super Bowl against the Patriots when Ryan Schrader went down. Tom Compton is far from very good. We'll put it that way. Moving on to the 49ers defense, the defensive line is highlighted by two behemoths. Here you have, of course, Nick Bosa, who's given all sorts of quarterback issues, including the Rams. In addition to that, Arik Armstead is another one to keep in mind, very good. But the surprising thing is that Samson Ebukam, who the Rams know very well, the former Ram last season, was drafted in the 2017 draft. draft in the 4th round. They traded up to get him out of Eastern Washington. He's playing a ton of snaps this season, so they're likely going to see a lot of him. DJ Jones, Arden Key, Kevin Givens, Contavious Street, and Jordan Willis, who they traded with to go and get him. So then looking at the linebackers, you have 2 guys that play pretty much the entire game. Fred Warner, who is one of the best linebackers in football, not having his best season, but still one of the best in all of football, and Azeez Al-Shaair. So those are the linebackers for the Niners. The corners, Emmanuel Mosley, Kawan Williams, they play the majority of the game. Drake Kirkpatrick, Josh Norman, and Dante Johnson all kind of split time. Interestingly enough, the 49ers don't have a great secondary as it is, and they're banged up because it doesn't look as though it's a guarantee that either Drake Kirkpatrick or Josh Norman will play. They're both on the injury report, and that's obviously not good for them. In addition to that, Tavon Wilson, the strong safety, is, and Jimmy Ward is also coming back from injury. We don't know if he'll play. He was out last week, and in his stead, Talanoa, I can't even pronounce his name, but Talanoa Hufanga from USC. I remember him. I watched a lot of film on him. I still can't pronounce that name. He was in his stead playing free safety last week. So those are the lineups. We have that out of the way, so let's go on to the injury report, shall we? The Rams, Brian Allen did not practice on Thursday. It doesn't look like he practiced on Friday either. Coleman Shelton was taking all of the center reps on the first team, so it does look like he is potentially going to play and suit up for Monday Night Football. Von Miller did not practice on Thursday, and Buddy Howell he also did not participate either. The 49ers on Thursday, Hasty, Hurst, Kirkpatrick, Sanu, Ward, Wilson, all did not practice. Not sure who's going to suit up this weekend, this Monday night, but they're dealing with some injuries. Once again, the Rams have kept their injury report pretty slim. The Niners, it's like last year and years past. The Niners always seem to have a really big injury report. I don't know why. Someone should probably check that out. The key matchups here, I'm highlighting number 1, first and foremost, the Rams wide receivers taking on the 49ers secondary. I mean, why would you not highlight that? Why? I mean, they just went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. He potentially could play. They have Van Jefferson to go with the leading receiver, the Triple Crown receiver right now in the league, in Cooper Kupp. And, of course, Robert Woods, who's had plenty of success against the Niners, and he's still a damn good receiver that does not get enough credit or respect. They also have now Ben Skoranek as their 5th guy, who's been getting some offensive snaps as well. So I feel pretty good about the Rams receivers going up against a banged-up Niners secondary. We will see what happens, but I haven't been overly impressed with the Niners defense this season, and their offense as such really hasn't generated a ton of points. For that reason, it's been a lot for them to try to win football games, why they're 3-5, and now they're banged up on top of that, so we'll see what ends up happening, but that is definitely a matchup that I am watching. Another matchup I'm watching is Jordan Fuller, who's coming off one of his best games I've seen last week against the Titans. Was phenomenal in coverage, having to go one-on-one with A.J. Brown of all people, and I thought he really stepped up and made an impact and made some plays. This week, it's not going to be for the faint of heart, though. He's going up against George Kittle, who is 2 weeks removed from his injury. Look, George Kittle, like I said, was on a pitch count last week. You wouldn't have even known it. So, for the most part, he's going to be pretty healthy, and I expect him to give the Rams fits if Jordan Fuller can't do what he did last week. So, that is a very important matchup. We will see what happens there. On top of that, Aaron Donald versus Daniel Brunskill. I highlighted it because Brunskill did such a nice job the last time. The film was really impressive. I thought he really did a nice job of holding his own. Brunskill's a solid interior offensive lineman, does not get enough credit, and so that is going to be a key matchup there. And then the last key matchup, and this is more so a huge mismatch. It's Leonard Floyd, or if they put Von Miller there and he plays, against Tom Compton. If you guys didn't hear my bash session earlier against Tom Compton, and I guess no offense to Tom Compton, I don't have anything against him personally, but he's not a very good football player. And maybe I'm a little bitter because I wanted the Falcons to win the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And when Ryan Trader went down with an injury, Tom Compton was like a human turnstile, and, Matt Ryan had no chance. But either way, that Tom Compton that we're talking about is playing right tackle, or at least expected to play right tackle this Monday night. So with that being said, going up against Leonard Floyd, who's having a very good season in his own right, whether it's him or whether they put Von Miller on that side, does not matter. That is a huge, huge, huge mismatch, and so I'm highlighting that. 3 players to watch: 49ers, Rams. We're going to start off 3 from the 49ers. Deebo Samuel. I mean, how could it not be Deebo Samuel? This is somebody that has, time after time, since he's come into the league, given the Rams fits. Whether it be as a runner, whether it be as a receiver, Deebo Samuel's ability to make plays in the backfield, make plays after the catch, has been absolutely dynamic against the Rams, and they're going to have to make sure that they can hold him in check. In addition to that, George Kittle, the tight end. I mean, we already talked about him a bit. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in all of football. Shouldn't be a shock that he's on there, but, I guess some people might be a little shocked. I don't know. And then lastly here, Nick Bosa, because he's just such a quarterback terrorizer. I mean, he's going to try to give Matthew Stafford, the fits that Jeffrey Simmons last week and Danico Autry were able to do. But, what we will see what ends up happening. But all in all, that's what I'm looking at here is that, you're going to see Bosa, you're going to see Kittle, and you're going to see Deebo Samuel. I'm not as high on Jimmy Garoppolo. As you guys know, I'm really not high on him to the point where I put George Kittle on the thumbnail. But Jimmy Garoppolo is undefeated against the Rams, so there is something there. Got to give him props where props are deserved. On the Rams side, if he plays Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, come on now. It's kind of sad in a sense that the Rams got Odell Beckham Jr. and now it's almost like he's like overhyped, he's over Von Miller now. Like, I'm more excited to see him than I am Von Miller, but I'm equally excited, if that makes any sense. It's called recency bias. And Odell Beckham Jr., we don't know what number he's going to wear. We do know he might play Monday. It feels like he really might play. I don't feel like they're just saying that. And so for me, I think Odell is a player to watch. I mean, there's a chance right off the rip they try to get him involved, using him. They can use him in all different ways. I mean, we've seen him used, out of the backfield as a runner, with those end arounds, jet motion, things like that. As a receiver, of course, over the top, whether it be a quick slant, a shallow cross, things like that. But then on top of that, he also has the ability to throw it as well. So maybe they just let him do something like that. Who knows? But I think you can definitely get him involved in this game. He's a player to watch in this one. On top of it, Jordan Fuller, like I said, for the same reason I said it, him versus George Kittle is going to be a massive matchup. It is extremely important. And if Jordan Fuller can step up and hold, George Kittle under wraps, I mean, that would be huge for the Rams moving forward. That would obviously help Jordan Fuller's confidence. And, players develop when they do things like that. When you play in these games, this is where they start to really develop. They get better over time. This is when they have to step up. And, I'm hoping that, Jordan Fuller, big number 4, can do that. And then lastly, Von Miller, if he plays. I mean, it's still not a guarantee that either Von Miller or OBJ play. Von Miller was traded last week to the Rams, and there's still just not a guarantee whether or not he's going to play. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't hate it if they didn't play. I would understand it. When you have a bye coming up and then you go to Lambeau Field, you're thinking ahead of time. I don't have an issue with that. If you want them fresh for that game, I don't have an issue with it. It might honestly make more sense, but you don't, if you're Sean McVay and when people ask you about the Super Bowl and you're talking about just winning, week 10 and winning your 8th game, it tells me that he's more focused on this game than, the future. And so for that reason, if you're more focused on this game, I would expect you to use, your weapons, in the offensive realm, so to speak. So those are the players to watch. We went through the key matchups. We went through the injury report, the lineups. So now we're on to predictions. I'm going to start off with Matthew Stafford, as always. Matthew Stafford throwing for 330 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to take advantage of this really poor secondary, banged up secondary at that. I think obviously if OBJ plays, it's going to be wicked hard to double Cooper Kupp. It just becomes ridiculous. And so for that reason, I think we're going to get back on track here. Watching what the Rams do, I think they get back on track in a big way, and do end up, taking advantage of the passing attack, and Matthew Stafford has himself a game. If OBJ, so this is a conditional if OBJ does play, I expect him to catch a touchdown. This is not me trying to bold predict anything. I expect them to use him. Now, what people don't realize, because they look at a 5'11", 198-pound receiver, they don't realize this guy has hops. He can go up and high point the football and win those 50-50 ball matchups. And on top of that, he can catch those end zone fades. And he's just got such great positional awareness where he is on the field that you don't have to worry about him stepping out of bounds. He always seems to know where the sideline is, in correspondence, with the goal line, the end zone, things along that nature. So I love this for OBJ. Obviously, if he plays, I think they're going to utilize him. They wouldn't have him suit up and not use him at all. So I think he'll catch a touchdown if he does play. And another conditional one, if Von Miller plays, he's going to get 2 sacks in this game on Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo does not show enough mobility. Garoppolo holds on to the ball too long. And I think, with Tom Compton on that side, whether it's Von Miller or Leonard Floyd, regardless, having that much of a weak link is really going to be opening you up for other ways to get beaten, and you're going to be susceptible to getting beaten from the inside, being beaten on the other side, to just try to make adjustments to stop the bleeding on the right side. I think that's the thing. When you don't have, your offensive line is as good as, its weakest link. And so, with Tom Compton, settling in there, that's not good for the 49ers offensive line. I do think that's going to hurt them. Remember I said that. And then finally here for the predictions before we dive into the fun facts, the Rams I have winning this game 31-19. Look, I think this game could be an absolute eviscerating blowout. I don't like predicting blowouts because I feel like I'm jinxing the Rams, and that's the God honest truth. I don't like predicting blowouts like that. I really try to be more sort of conservative on that point. But on top of that, I just kind of feel like this is a game where the Rams are going to be in control the whole game, maybe leave some touchdowns on the board. But at the end of the day, a 31-19 win seems very appropriate. It seems like a fair prediction. I could see the Niners sticking around, the Rams pulling through, but either way, I think the Rams are going to control this game on the road. This is one of the best things about the Rams, and no one's realized this, is how well they play on the road when their back is against the wall. It seems as though at home they're a worse team, as weird as that is, and they've only lost 2 games, and both of those games have come on the road. The Rams have not beaten the Niners since Jimmy Garoppolo has taken over as the starter. This is the monkey off Sean McVay's back, and I think it starts this Monday Night Football. I think they get it done. And I think they followed up by sweeping them on the season later on in the year. I think they beat the Niners again. So I think this is going to be huge. I think it gets that, mentally, you could call it a kryptonite for Sean McVay. I think it gets that completely out of the way. And the Rams will have to feel good about that. So that is my opinion. I have the Rams winning 31-19. Wrapping it up here. For fun facts, the Rams are actually trailing the all-time series to the 49ers, 73-67-3. The Rams are 2-1 in primetime this season, with their only loss coming at home against the Titans last week. The Rams are 4-1 over the last 5 Monday Night Football games under Sean McVay. Former 49ers that are visiting the Rams that are visiting with the Rams include Eric Yarber and Kevin O'Connell. Eric Yarber had the same position in 2004, and Kevin O'Connell used to be a member of the special projects team for the 49ers. Former Rams suiting up as a Niner, and there's only one here, and that is Samson Ebukam. As I mentioned before, drafted in 2017, 4th-round pick. Rams trade up to get out of Eastern Washington. He's suiting up Cooper Kupp is 123 receiving yards away from the NFL record for receiving yards through the first 10 games. Right now, the NFL record for the first 10 games is Antonio Brown in 2015. In addition to that, Sean McVay is 16-5 in games following a loss. The Rams have only 4 games where Sean McVay has lost back-to-back games. And lastly, Matthew Stafford, he's probably not going to do it in this game, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Matthew Stafford is 601 passing yards away from 50,000 in his career. So, quite the number there. Probably not going to get to that on Monday Night Football, but if he throws for over 600 yards, that would be something else. But yeah, I have the Rams at the end of the day winning 31-19. This team is going the right direction. I will say this over and over again. Do not worry about the Titans game. Let it rest. It happened. It's over with. The Rams are done with it. They're going to move on. They have another primetime game ahead. They're going to have to beat their division rival, which they have forgotten how to beat. But I think this time it's going to be different. They have a new quarterback under center, potentially starting two stars that, we haven't seen before in Von Miller and OBJ. So this could be, a really big game for the Rams. This could be one of those statement wins that you saw when the Rams went to Seattle and ended up just taking over the NFC West. It was like a passing of the torch. It could be that type of deal, but we'll see. But that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Before I leave, I did notice that Matthew Plowden donated. I'm just going to give him, first off, thank him for that. I really do appreciate that. Hey, Jake, been a Rams fan since about 1977. 49ers are the sworn enemy. If we could only win 2 games in a year, it would be the 2 games against them. Keep up the good work. I hear you. It's funny. The older generation of Rams fans, hate the Niners, and I feel like my generation, my peers and what have you, hate the Seahawks more because it's been the Seahawks have seemed to be the cockroach of this division. My whole childhood, it seems like. So it's funny how that works, but totally understand your hate towards the Niners. It's a division rivalry. Makes sense. But again, guys, really do appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to keep doing these live videos, not going to stop. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. If you missed my reactions on Odell Beckham Jr. being traded to the Rams, those are on my channel. And you could also become a member today, a premium member, for as low as 99 cents a month if you want to support the channel. But that's going to do it for me. You guys take care, and I will see you guys soon.